And if you wish, you can put one or both of your hands on your heart for a moment to anchor there, to land there. For this is where heaven meets earth within you. It is the door through which we speak, the window through which we see at this moment of your time. For dear friends, we are here and we thank you for the invitation of the co-creation of this here and now. Now, how have you been and how can we be of service?
Arjun, first of all, welcome and thank you. My God, that was so beautiful. I really powerfully felt that and still feel it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
A little bit ago, when I was speaking with Wieteke, and she was expressing how the Yahyel came about through the hybridization program, and that once upon a time, the Greys had lost the connection to love and to the care of the planet. And through the hybridization program, that much of this has been brought back in the Yahyel people. And I'm really curious that in our ability to connect, that we not make the same mistake as the Greys, that we can learn to focus on love, that we can focus on loving the planet, focus on loving humanity and ourselves. And I like the hope in that. And I will admit that sometimes I see hopeful things, but overall, I do not feel hopeful that that is our path.
All right.
Yes.
Why is that?
Pardon?
Why is that?
Because I see so much fighting on the planet. I see so much separation based on race and gender and color and age, because I see politics that, even though it's breaking down, it's got an enormous level of insanity and not care for people, and a lot of lack of care for the planet, the health of the planet, the oceans and the skies. And so I guess it feels quite overwhelming to me when I look out. And although there are pockets, if I spend time with certain 20 and 30-year-olds, young people, I see so much hope in the things they're interested in and the ways they're being and the tribes they're creating and being interested in medicine and ceremony. And that makes me feel hopeful. And then I look out and I see, the world going the way it's been going quite quickly, and it's disheartening. So I'm wondering, as a Yahyel, do you have advice? Do you have wisdom? Do you have hope for us?
Oh, we don't need hope. We fully trust. Hope still implies just a little bit of doubt, you see. When a person says, I hope that goes right, it includes usually the possibility of something going wrong within your dictionary, you see. So we don't have to hope. We see it there for you already. And that's the version of reality that we are focused on. And that's the human race that we're speaking with right now. We're speaking to the portion of you, if you will, that has a higher probability within themselves to take that particular route of evolution than to take the route that the Greys took, you see. And those that don't resonate with our energy frequency, a section of them doesn't resonate with it because they don't contain that energy frequency of that particular future path, you see. So in other words, we're not spending our time speaking to ears that are deaf to the energy frequency that we're representing. And if you can hear us now, whoever is listening, you contain within you a higher probability right now that you will see that future of harmony and balance developing in your version of Earth, you see. We're speaking to those that have a real, you could say, probability of meeting us potentially one day in your future, you see. So to bring it back to the here and now, as you would say, even though everything is existing simultaneously and side by side in your multidimensional reality, what you just shared with us, and thank you for your very personal sharing, you may have heard this saying before on your own planet, where attention goes, energy flows, right?
Yes.
So first of all, that is true in all cases. What you focus upon, you amplify the frequency of within your own version of reality. Now, the way you interpret a particular scenario that you're focusing upon in your version of reality depends on your belief system. And for many people, their beliefs are hiding somewhere in the subconscious. They do not become aware of those negative beliefs unless they feel a lower energy frequency vibration to point it out to them that there is a negative belief hiding in the subconscious, you see. So every single lower energy frequency emotion that you may be feeling, such as anger, frustration, overwhelm, like you just mentioned, hopelessness, all these type of emotions, energy emotions, are pointing out to you like very gentle and loving reminders. There's something here that you may want to just stop for a moment and have a look at. And that will reveal to you, if you take that moment, if you take that pause, that there is a belief. You can ask yourself the question in that moment of catching yourself, feeling that low energy frequency emotion. You can ask yourself the question, what would I have to believe to be true in order for me to have this feeling as I'm feeling it right now? What is, quote unquote, dictating from behind or from the dark that I feel this way? What am I believing to be true about this scenario that I'm observing? And the moment you lay that out for yourself, whatever belief may pop up in that moment, it will reveal some level of you giving your power away. That's why it feels so bad. That's why there is a low energy frequency emotion connected to it. And the beauty of discovering a belief that inherently results in you giving your power away, not self-empowering yourself. The beauty of seeing that is that in the moment of consciously seeing it, it's no longer hiding in the subconscious. You can now rewrite it. You can rewrite the belief. We gave this example recently to a group of humans that we spoke to. For instance, a lot of you guys are very sensitive to the idea of conflict in general, because within your hearts and within your higher selves, you know that that's not preferred. You all have an inner longing for harmony as a whole. You have it innately within you. And this is why conflict, when you observe it, quote unquote, outside of you in your reflective mirror reality, most people would like to take a step back or not be too close to that or not get involved. You probably recognize this, don't you?
Yes.
So as an example, we told the group of humans that we spoke to that a person may see a couple fighting in the street. They may observe it from the other end of the street, for instance. And this couple, they're raising their voices. They're really being nasty to each other. And they may feel an ache in their heart for what they see happening over there, or they may frown with concern, or they may think something like, oh, I hope that ends well. And in that moment of feeling the energy that is lowering the corners of your mouth, and that is making the frown, creating the frown on your forehead, in that moment, you could stop yourself right there and ask yourself, what do you believe to be true about this particular scenario that makes you feel this way? And you will see that in many occasions, people think something like, that is very sad what's happening over there, because clearly these people do not love each other, or they might break up, or whatever it is that your society, your movies, your parents, your schools, you name it, have taught you to believe has to be the norm. And because this doesn't fit in with that norm, you feel sad. You don't feel sad because you are thinking of this reason all by yourself. What we're saying is that this particular reason you have adopted. It is a program that you have chosen to buy into. If it was something that you came up with all by yourself, that is your natural energy frequency state, it would be of optimism. It would be of love. It would be something like, let us give you an example. Seeing the couple fight on the other end of the street and thinking to yourself, for instance, wow, look at the immense volume that that woman is using with her voice. She would be an incredible singer. You could think something like that. Or look at the passion with which these two are sharing their points of view right now, interrupting each other and all of that. But I know that this information that is being shouted out there across the street between the two of them has a lot of momentum behind it. This information has been wanted to hear before. It has so much momentum. I can feel the force behind it. It is like popping a cork from a champagne bottle. It is something that needs to be seen, that wants to be in the light. And they probably have been misunderstanding each other's point of view for weeks, for months, maybe even for years. And right now, because they're finally speaking their deepest fears, they're speaking their judgments, they're just speaking it all out, they can look at each other anew. This may be the deepening of their relationship. This may also be the end of it. Yes, it might be. But if it is the end of their relationship, they will free each other from these shackles that they've been walking around with for a really long time. They will probably flourish on their own in a way that they're not giving each other space to do right now. There is so many ways that you can choose to look at this. That is self-empowering, not just for you as an observer, but for them. So this is what we say. When you witness conflict, when you witness struggle, when you witness other people stumbling along, if you will, in the old paradigm way of labeling that, see if you can dig beneath the programming that you have been spoon-fed since being a child, and look for these wonderful, heartwarming, empowering for everyone involved points of view that we know are hiding in each and every one of you, because it is within your hearts. You can reach into there. You can pick that up and lift it to the surface, and it will not only liberate yourself, it will liberate those that you're observing. Because if you choose to look at somebody with empowerment for yourself, and them included, it will ripple through time and space. It will be an energetic wave, and it will embrace everything and everyone that comes in the way of it. And it is infinite. It reaches until the corners of the universe and beyond. It really doesn't end. So once you choose to become the beacon of light that we know you all inherently are born to be, it will have an effect, and you do not have to doubt your future or anybody else's, because you will be on the wavelength of that harmonious energy frequency that you are choosing to send out and be focused on. Now, how does that feel?
Really interesting. A lot of things
thank you.
Came to mind. Thank you. First was the idea that I don't believe it till I see it. And that's a really interesting belief for somebody who also concurrently can be a major manifester, because you don't necessarily see things first. You step into, and then it becomes. That's like, to me, the penultimate creation. So there was that limitation that came up. And then towards the end, when you were sharing about the things we brought forward, I was thinking about, I grew up in a household that had a lot of negativity about what was going on politically or in the world, maybe overreaction, frankly. And so, yeah, maybe I have some of that going on inside of me. And it's interesting, the duality too, because in fact, in that aspect as well, just, I think indigenously, I have a lot of optimism as a person and positivity in general. So it's interesting to have a foot in both of these worlds. And one clearly is not assisting me, right? The one that is saying, oh, doom and gloom, I hope, but I'm not seeing. And then this other that feels very positive, is creating her own life, has a separation from all of that, and is going forward as though things will be well.
Well, if we may jump in there, is that okay?
I would love that, yes.
All right, well, thank you for this sharing. From your optimistic point of view, then, you could choose to see all of that you call your past, as you created from the now. You could see all of that as serving you now, including your childhood, including the way you've been raised. Because the moment you lift it to consciousness and you see the energy frequency that you've been spoon fed to believe to be true, and you rewrite it, you can be grateful for it. Because now you can see both ends of the spectrum, can't you? You've transformed it for yourself, and you can empathize with people who haven't yet. So that makes you a bridge builder. It makes you compatible, in a sense, with more people so that you can reach more of them. You can share from your own experiences what you know hasn't worked for you in what you call the past. And you can share your process of transformation, going through that, facing your fears, embracing every single segment of what you, for instance, in this example, call your childhood. You can hug energetically the parents that raised you when they were at the age that they had when they raised you. You can hug the entire scenario as you remember it in this here and now focus point. And you can say thank you to it for all that it has brought you. Because isn't it because of that particular challenge and that strife and that agony, really, of feeling imprinted with these type of glasses, with this type of filter, looking at the world, seeing wrongdoing left and right all the time? Isn't it because of that right now, whilst you're discovering how to become more conscious of that and to transform every single segment of that, every particle of that, isn't it because of all of that together that you can now feel the liberation, that you can now feel the weight drop off your shoulders, that you can feel yourself ready to stand into the light and shine brighter than ever before? You would never even know what it means to shine brighter than ever before if there wasn't a seeming darker before that, you see. So you're painting with contrast. You're painting it with polarity. And therefore we can say, kiss the polarity, give it a big hug, say thank you to it because it brought you to here where you can now literally feel within your physical body the upliftment of transformation. And it is that you came to give yourself in the remembrance of who you really are, which is what you're doing in this humanly focused and humanly oriented lifetime. You're remembering who you really are. And you're not even half, quote unquote, and we don't mean that in a negative sense at all, but you're not even as a species half the human you could be. And we know that sometimes you say about yourselves, oh, well, that's only human, you know. And we know that by that you often mean in a funny way that you're denigrating yourself or the circumstances. And we would say, don't talk about yourselves that way. Don't, because you're so beautiful. And there is no such thing as only human. You're amazingly human. Human is you have no words for that in your language yet. We have to search within the database of the channel to even get something close, which surpasses brilliant, breathtakingly amazing. In awe is what we are with your journey of transformation. It's not for no reason that we call you as hybrids. Sasani, Sha-yel, and Yahyel alike. We call you human beings. We call you the masters of limitation. And we don't mean that denigrating in any way, shape, or form. The masters is where the emphasis is on. Masters of limitations. You would never dive into a physical dream reality not understanding somewhere deep down within that you can handle the density of that particular frequency realm. You would never dive in if you did not possess the tools within yourself to play with that and to create what seems heavy to become light. And this is what you're doing, what you can choose to do more consciously. But this is what you're doing in general, in a sense, is with the upliftment of your species, with the development spiritually of your race. And you can take it many directions. And yes, the pathway is still open to take it to a more lower energy frequency excursion, if you will. But again, those that we're speaking with right now that are receiving this type of information are on the wavelength of that propelling forward and snowballing and getting bigger and gaining more momentum. And just to hook back onto what you said about seeing is believing, we understand that that's another belief that you've been spoon-fed, most of you. Really, you've got it upside down there, if we may be so bold. It's believing is seeing, and it's been that all along, you see. If you look around you, in your home, the objects that you have, or on the street and the sidewalks and what have you, if you look at all of these things, they were thought of before they were created. And nature itself is the crystallization of consciousness itself, of source energy itself. Everything is first non-physical, an idea, a thought, a love, before it crystallizes into beingness through the same power of unconditional love. So it's always believing is seeing. It's the inventor that knows something can be done and chooses to feel optimistic about that. This combination is key. To feel optimistic, to feel your way into a probable reality where something must be able to exist, whether it is cleaning the plastic from your oceans or anything else that may seem overwhelming to you right now as a species. Feeling into that with trust and love and surrender, envisioning it, even though you can't exactly practically put one and one together and make it a two just yet, because you don't know how it will be done, but feeling optimistic about it whilst perhaps, if that's your calling, you're working on such a solution. That's what will allow you to shift to a version of reality where that is already done, where an invention will be brought to the light, pop up in your reality or in your mind, so that you can create it. That will help manifest that idea in your space-time reality, you see. Wow. It all comes from the non-physical first. The bigger part of you is in the non-physical right now. Mm-hmm. You're only dreaming that you're having a physical reality with a small, tiny section of the soul entity that you are, you see. So it's believing and seeing. You believe you can do this, or you wouldn't be physically oriented in this version of reality. You, by you, this time we mean your soul, we mean your higher self. You believe you've got this, or you wouldn't be focused in this. No matter how low you feel, no matter how much you may doubt your capabilities as a human being, no matter how much you may be telling yourself every day, I'm not cut out for this particular life, I must be in the wrong place. That's okay, that's your free will. You can choose to look at your life that way. You have free will. You get to paint your picture with these colors if you like. And that is all legit as an experience. All that is learning from your point of view, no matter what angle you take it from. So there is no being off your path. You're always on your path, since you are your path. You create it with the way you choose to look at your version of reality. And it's all legit. And so you can say you're worthless even if you wish, but you're not. And the fact that you exist and the fact that you can even say that proves the contrary to you, because you wouldn't be able to say that if you really were. Existence loves you. You're a unique and absolutely necessary facet within all that is. Literally, it would not be all that is if you were not included in it. Now, would it? You see? And so thank you to you and everybody listening in for being who you are, exactly where you're at. And the moment you embrace that moment of who you are and exactly where you're at is when you'll begin to see, quote unquote, proof of reflections in what you call your outer world, showing you that you're beginning to, quote unquote, move away from it, because there's no moving away from something that you put resistance into. You see, we've said before jokingly, hating it is dating it. The longer you hate where you're at, the longer you will seem to stay stuck in it. So love it with any out of the box thought that you can possibly allow into your system. Love it from a crazy angle that you haven't invited yourself to look from before at what you're observing. And the moment you start loving it, it will begin to feel lighter. And the moment it feels lighter, you're allowing in from that new energy frequency that you're embodying in that moment, new reflections from what you call your outer reality to become apparent to you, to crystallize before you, the answers to your question, the synchronicities that show you the house, the new job, the financial solution, whatever it is that you've been craving for. And it will give you an answer, a solution, a new hint of a direction that you may perhaps wish to venture into rather than the direction you thought you had to venture into previously.